Thank you, French. Much love, greetings to you all. I hope you all are having a fantastic year and that you had a great new moon the other night. It was the new moon of Aquarius. A time to usher in a higher view of life, of meaning, and of mankind. Now, you may notice yourself wondering more about the nature of things, how the world works or should work. And you may find yourself simply stepping back and seeing the bigger pictures of life. Now, there's also been a lot of things going on in the news regarding different branches of religious institutions, regardless of the religion. Right, just the other day, there was some rumbling from the more conservative leaders of the Catholic Church calling into question whether the current Pope can make some of the changes he is talking about making. But I do tend to see more with the branches and education systems of Judaism than others, with the JTS and the conservative branch, and it's realizing its need for a dynamic and entrepreneurial new level of leadership. Hebrew Union College and the Reform branch, the oldest rabbinic seminary, by the way, and constantly reinventing itself. Aleph and the Alliance for Jewish Renewal, to some a more mystical and musical and all-inclusive form of Judaism. The Reconstruction Judaism and its debate about interfaith clergy, and of course, my congratulations go out to JSLI and its ordination of its 100th rabbi, another all-welcoming branch. And I always wonder why there has to be branches at all. Why can't we all just get along and accept one another, regardless of religion? The branches should have been left to the seven-branch menorah of the tabernacle, individual lights working together to illuminate, or to trees, all the branches supporting each other in their obtaining sunlight and foodstuffs to help the tree grow and thrive. We instead have created branches in order to be divisive and to feed ego. Why should there be different religions? Never mind different branches. As the old saying goes, put out the dog, Ma. Believe it or not, we are all in this together. Different parts of a greater whole. Together we'll stand, divided we'll fall. Come on now, people, let's get on the ball and work together. Come on, let's work together. Or as the Beach Boys saying, wouldn't it be nice? Yes, it would. Now, some of you have noticed a huge difference between Genesis and what we have read in Exodus so far. And there are a lot of differences. Now, for one, in all probability, the author and the timing of when it was written. But what everyone seems to have noticed particularly was that the God of Genesis was the God of everyone and everything, the Creator God. No one was reported as having practiced a particular religion. Even the patriarchs were not branded as one religion or another. You simply saw an occasional offering, and that was all. But the God of Exodus is more exclusive. A mere 400 years after Joseph, Exodus sets up a battle between formalized structures, and the God of the Exodus appears much more regimented, militaristic, and demanding, and reflects more the characteristics of man and his ego-driven ways. And yet, technically, there was still no spiritual practice associated with this God, which we are aware of. Friends, pardon me, God's Spirit hovered, and he breathed his spirit, ruach, spirit, soul, into creation. Man took that spirit and made religion, and for many, that is a giant step backwards. But it is what we have, so let's work together to make it better, to make it all-inclusive, to bring spirit back into spirituality. Now, our job is not to prove or disprove God or the spirit of creation. We only need to learn from the great lessons of the Holy Writings, the world over. They all say the same things in slightly different languages. And they all speak to the great spirit of creation, to freedom, to honoring and sharing existence with all. They can be branches uniting instead of dividing. Everything, everywhere, is connected, and you only hurt yourself when you hurt anyone or anything anywhere in the cosmos. Now, I also had a great question about something that actually comes up in this week's Parsha, but which I was not going to talk about, regarding the practice of redeeming or consecrating the firstborn. In Exodus 13:1, God says, each firstborn man and beast is mine. Now, it's something not really talked about much, and it is probably an indication of a much earlier time, before the Levites were allocated the priesthood. The human firstborn are to be dedicated to God's cult, and the animal firstborn are to be sacrificed to God. Something later changed, and sometime later the Levites claimed priesthood for themselves and made it their exclusive province. Now, thank you, Jay, for that great question, and I do love all of your questions. You say yes, I say no, you say stop, and I say go, go, go. Vayomer Adonai el Moshe bo el Paro. And the Lord said to Moses, go into Pharaoh. Friends, this week we have bo. Sometimes come, sometimes go. Now, just for fun, let us change a few names as we read from the book of Names. Let us read as biblical man would have understood. Would that he could read. Exodus 10:1. And he who causes being said to Moses, come into Pharaoh, because I have made his heart and his servant's heart heavy for the purpose of my setting these signs of mine among them. Now we would read and say the Lord, or Adonai for the name of God written in the sentence. But biblical man would say the name, knowing its meaning, he who causes being. And remember, bo can be come or go. But the thing to notice is that here we have the reminder, God controls Pharaoh and is doing what he or she is doing to show his signs of being known and to make his name known. And right now, the signs of the plagues, and the final big 3 plagues are read this week. And possibly, there is even a hint of the signs yet to be. And that, my friends, will be the sign of freedom. Because these moves lead to freedom and the rallying cry for everyone, everywhere, of all time, wanting to be free. Israel and Egypt, land, let my people go. The fact is that the Torah does not present the plagues as punishment of the Egyptians for enslaving the Israelites, but rather as signs by which God will become known. God states, I have made his heart and his servant's heart heavy for the purpose of my setting these signs of mine among them, and for the purpose that you will tell in the ears of your son and your son's son about how I abused Egypt and about my signs that I set among them, and you will know that I am the Lord. And interestingly, a shift takes place. Did you notice? The rationale of establishing God's enduring fame shifts from the global scope of Exodus 9:16, that my name be told throughout all the earth, to a consideration of educating the future nations. The particular importance of the Exodus story is that it served as the foundational narrative for the nation. The Exodus story defines the nation. And the Passover ritual, which commemorates that story, is the cultic enactment of membership in the nation. That is established in this parsha, along with the calendar and the counting of time. Now we have our 8th plague occur, a locust swarm, so thick it will cover the land and eat what's left of the food. Exodus 10:5. And it will cover the eye of the land, and one will be able to see the land, and it will eat the remains of what has survived that is left to you from the hail, and it will eat every tree that is growing for you from the field. Wow, every plague seems to wipe out everything that exists. But these plagues are just worse. And it leads to a shocking realization when Pharaoh's advisors say to Pharaoh, don't you know yet that Egypt has perished? What a term, perished. And of course, it is described using the words of creation. Now, once again, Pharaoh lets them go, and once again, God hardens Pharaoh's heart. And the display of power continues. This time, darkness, but a different kind, a palpable darkness, a darkness you can feel, lasting 3 days, beyond anything that could be considered natural. It's so dark, you could not see in front of you, but there was light in the Israelite homes. Now, this is a fantastic metaphor, my friends. Those who struggle with God but follow him have light. Those who live under fear stay in darkness. How do you live your life? How do you want to? Once again, Exodus 10:27. And he who causes being strengthened Pharaoh's heart, and he was not willing to let them go. Now, not satisfied with the unbelievable destruction, such that Pharaoh realizes Egypt has perished. Exodus 11:1. And the Lord said to Moses, I'll bring one more plague on Pharaoh and on Egypt. After that, he'll let you go from here. It has been decided. Passover is coming. And Moses said, he who causes being said this, in the middle of the night I am going out through Egypt. Notice, I am going out through Egypt, God himself. Now, later Jewish tradition, presumably unable to bear the thought of God personally passing through Egypt and killing and causing the deaths, introduced the horrible concept of the angel of death. But friends, there is no such thing as an angel of death in the Bible. The text is explicit that God personally passes through Egypt and every firstborn will die, man and beast. Wow, what devastation. All of this in order to introduce yourself and your name. Remember, this is not done as punishment, that you may know how the Lord sets apart Egypt and Israel, or how he who causes being sets apart the land of constraint from those who wrestle with God. What a fantastic sentence. Friends, the Hebrew for the Exodus from Egypt is Yetziat Mitzrayim, the going out from Egypt, the going out from constraint. Across the straits, around the Horn, how far can sailors fly? A twisted path, our tortured course, and no one left alive. A salty dog. Moses then crosses a line he will cross again later, one that will result in his exile and his death. He will supersede God. And perhaps it is a lesson in the danger of ego. Even the great prophet Moses may have succumbed to the dangers of ego, but we will talk of it at a later time. Now, one of the most important rituals in Judaism is giving. And it's so important, we are told it is to be commemorated as an eternal law. And it has 3 component foods to it, and each represents something. A lamb is to be slaughtered, and its blood used to mark the doorposts of the homes so that God would know where to halt. That's what, Pesach meant, was to halt during the slaughter of the firstborn. And the lamb is to be eaten with unleavened bread on bitter herbs. The blood is the sign. And blood, of course, is the life force of the animal kingdom of which we are part. We eat animal. We eat bitter herbs, which is the vegetation of the earth, and we eat unleavened bread, which is the bread of the priest, the bread of holiness, a bread which does not rise and has no ego attached to it. Exodus 14. And this day will become a commemoration for you, and you shall celebrate it through your generations, an eternal law. 7 days you shall eat unleavened bread. And you will have a holy assembly on the first day and a holy assembly on the 7th day, and you shall observe the unleavened bread. Because in this very day I brought out your masses from the land of constraint. Now that may actually be it for real instructions, and yet we've managed to take the celebration as was held during the end of the Second Temple period, and now stretch it to anywhere from 4 to 7 or more hours. And it will be, when your children will say to you, what is this service to you? That you shall say, it is the Passover sacrifice to he who causes being, because he halted at the houses of the children of those who struggle with God in constraint when he struck Egypt and he saved our houses. Now, of course, the stories we were told and the things we read do not always seem to jive. Some of what you read must have been added hundreds and hundreds of years later. And instruction about what to do with your slave during the ritual does not seem to go hand in hand with a story of freedom from slavery. Somehow, slaves owning slaves does not work. Neither does leaving in a hurry, but stopping to make sure you gather up and take all of the spoils of Egypt with you. And of course, neither do the biblical numbers of people involved. What is crucial, my friends, is we are to remember this day on which you went out of Egypt from the house of slaves, for by strength of hand the Lord brought you out from here. And you shall tell your son on that day, saying, for the sake of what the Lord did for me when I went out of Egypt. Zakar et chayom chazechasher yesetem mim mitraim. And the verb used for remember, zakar, is an interesting one because it suggests both the rational act of remembering and the ritual act of commemoration. And for the future, all commemoration is based on the Lord bringing freedom. And friends, the Exodus is now on. And the Parsha ends as one of the daily miracles takes place, one we will talk about much more later. Exodus 13:20. And the Lord was going before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them on the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light to go by day and by night. Fire and cloud. Now the sign of the God of Exodus is fire. From the burning bush to the fire like hail to the great epiphany of Sinai, the great signs of God come with fire. The sign of the mystery, the glory, the wisdom, expanse of God is cloud. And so this small few line passage invokes the four elements of creation, which are necessary for any activity we succeed at. As God took the people by the sea of reeds, invoking water, to the wilderness, invoking land, by a column of fire, invoking fire, enveloping them in cloud, invoking air, the four cornerstones of life and creation. The world is sacred, my friends, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Light a candle, make a wish, celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free, honor your freedom, be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light, and all who live in the light continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive and learn to love. Follow the call of Exodus, the call of freedom, and with it the most sacred holy day in the Bible, the day of freedom. The journey is yours to enjoy. Break free of the dogma and change your way of thinking. If I told you what it takes to reach the highest high, you'd laugh and say nothing's that simple. But you've been told many times before, Messiahs point you to the door. No one had the guts to leave the temple. I'm free, and freedom tastes of reality. Taste reality, my friends. Bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of love and healing and thanks and peace. The light is increasing in your life, so keep lighting the lights of miracles. Keep dreaming. Congratulations to all you freedom fighters. And thank you all for joining me. Shabbat Shalom.